Hello, everyone. Welcome to Infotech's panel discussion on increasing project transparency through tools for digital project delivery and data visualization. I'm Mark O'Connor, and I'm a senior account manager for Infotech's ITI products. I live in the Kansas City area and have been engaged in digital mapping, which is the predecessor to GIS, since 1982. And yes, that does make me old. I'd like to hand it off to each panelist so that in order to introduce themselves before we get started. Pat, you want to get us started?
Sure. My name is Pat Lynch. I'm the city engineer here in Muscatine. I was a consultant before entering the public sector for about 20 years. I came down to Muscatine about 4 years ago and became the city engineer 2 years ago.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm Mark Yarrington, manager of GIS CAD technology here at Muscatine Power and Water, which is a local municipal utility in Muscatine, Iowa. I also manage Muscatine Area Geographic Information Consortium, also known as MAGIC, who provides GIS services to Muscatine County and to the city of Muscatine. I've been in the GIS industry for approximately 15 years full-time. I graduated from the University of Iowa with a BS in geography in 2006. My background is providing solutions to our partners, leveraging the technology provided by Esri, and now I guide our team building these solutions for our partners to make quick, informed decisions.
Good, good. And Eric?
My name is Eric Coles. I'm a project manager here at Bolton and Mink. I've been here just over 2.5 years. Graduate of Iowa State in construction engineering, which means I know how to kick over buckets and yell at people. But I started my engineering career in 1991, which, like Mark, is kind of makes us old, but still running hard. I worked at the DOT from 91 to 2005. I went and worked for a contractor for a couple of years. I spent 10 years at the City of Ames doing oversight for all the construction projects in the field, design, subdivisions, site plans, all that kind of fun stuff. And I went back to the DOT and worked in the local systems office, which is actually where I got involved with Infotech folks. At the time, the Iowa DOT currently uses BidExpress, DocExpress, and local systems decided to give Appia a run for construction management. And I got involved in the groundwork of that. And I did the initial trainings for the local agencies, and that's one of the things that I help Pat with down in Muscatine is handling some of the Appia and DocExpress stuff.
Great. Okay. I just want to remind each of you that as we're going through this discussion, if something comes up or you'd like to add something or something just occurs to you, please chime in whenever you can. Okay, let's get started, and I'll begin with asking questions of each of the panelists, and if anyone else has something to add, please do. I'll ask Pat the first set of questions, and I guess the first one and obvious one is, how long has the city of Muscatine been using Appia to administer and manage your construction projects?
We've been using it for about 3 years now.
Okay, and what benefits have you or the city or anyone seen from putting in a project management system like Appia?
It really simplifies and streamlines the process for our field guys. Instead of them being inside doing a bunch of paperwork, they can take their tablets or laptops out in the field with them and enter all the construction data out in real time out in the field. It saves them a lot of time on the back end.
Yeah, time is money. And especially with the shortage of people, that's got to have a big impact as well.
Definitely.
What additional data are you getting on projects by using a system rather than using spreadsheets and field books and things like that?
It's more the real-time data. It's getting it as it's happening. The thing we like about that is we can answer questions right away. We don't have to wait around and go back to the office and look through the paperwork or pull the spreadsheets out. We can pull Appia up right away and just take a look at it and find it right there.
Okay, well, once it was decided 3 years ago to get started with Appia, what did you see as the biggest obstacle to it being a successful implementation?
Training was the biggest obstacle. Nobody down here knew how to use it.
Well, yeah, that's an excellent point, and something I think all new users of software should consider before they get into it. Who did do the training for the city?
Actually, Eric did. we did the training through the DOT, and Eric was my trainer anyway. So
Okay,
Yeah,
Good.
we did the DOT sponsored trainings. Their requirements on being able to utilize Appia is that you had to go through a training session in order to be able to get the local license through the DOT. So we went around and we did several trainings in each geographic district in the state to get people brought up to speed. And then I became the point of contact for anything support wise or question wise for all of the agencies out there.
okay, and just so that everyone knows, training is included when you get Appia, but I think this was a very special implementation that was done in the state of Iowa, and it required training that we didn't know about, but obviously, Eric, you did, because you had a lot to do with designing the stuff that goes into Iowa.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. They did the online training with the Infotech folks and their staff and your guys' staff, but then we did have that Iowa specific training that we did out there.
Very good, very good. Okay, Mark, is there other information that you'd want to put on the Esri web map that that Appia provides and you really can't get anywhere else? Is there anything like that?
Yeah, I think like Pat said, we're in our infancy stages, really. I mean, and we've been using it for 3 years, but primarily for DOT funded projects. But we have more projects here locally that are locally funded that I think we're looking to incorporate into that Appia environment. And anytime we're talking about projects around the community, adding that spatial component to the project and allowing our constituents, board members, directors, council members, and really the citizens, that we want them to better understand the money that's being invested in our community. And really my job is to provide that information to them in a quick decision-making tools and keep everyone updated on the status of these projects.
And of course, Pat, that impacts you as far as they don't have to call you for every question they have. They can answer quite a few themselves on just looking at the Esri implementation.
Exactly, which frees up us to do more field work.
Yeah, that's good, especially you. Well, I guess, the next question that I had has kind of been answered, but to some degree, I'd like to ask Pat, what were the reasons you brought Bolton and Mank in to help?
Well, when we went out, we sent out a RFQ for assistance with this. Bolton and Mank submitted their SOQ and had Eric on it. So since Eric was integral on the implementation of Appia through the DOT, and I actually went through a training course with him, it made perfect sense to hire Bolton and Mank to help us out with that process then.
Oh, good. That's all right. With the answers we've gotten, my next question is kind of irrelevant, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So when I wrote this, it made sense. Doesn't make sense right now, but how long did it take to bring Bolton and Make team up to speed with what you do specifically in the city versus what other cities do? You know, differences that you have.
They came in ready to roll. Bolton and Mank, they'd worked with us in the past on design work on previous projects. So they knew the city inside and out on the design side, and they helped out with construction on previous projects as well. So they hit the ground ready to go.
Great. Okay. So what sort of information do you have after you've been using the Appia system for a while that's of value to, and I break it out into the citizens, into other people who work in the city, and a third group, just anyone outside the city?
Most of the time people ask about the budget and schedule, the progress of the project. You know, where are we at? How much farther do we have to go? How far are we into it? Those are the main questions we get. Sometimes you get the how far over budget are you, or are you under budget? But all of that information is readily available through Appia.
Okay. And can you, if before you had Appia, how would you get this information out to people?
We have a project management team here at the city, and typically on slow months through the winter, we do a monthly meeting to pull together a summary to submit to the council and all the city officials. During construction season, we try to go a little bit more often because things are happening a lot quicker. But again, that takes time out of our inspectors' days, and if you go once every 2 weeks, it pulls them off of things that they should be doing out in the field. With Appia now, we have that dashboard that they can just click on what they need to see, and they can see it right away without having to wait for a bi-weekly or a monthly summary report.
That's great. So Mark, I'm going to be real forthcoming with this. I was absolutely shocked at how quickly you got the Appia data to show up on the Esri web map. I was really impressed. So can you tell us what you had to do to post that information from Appia onto the website?
Well, I would just say, kudos to your team there at Infotech and developing this integration link, because really once I had that link set up, it updates in real time. So I really just had to explore the data that was available to us out of the Appia environment. The primary thing I did was just focus on timeframes and costs. That's really what our internal and external customers, external being citizens, want to see about these projects. And Esri's just done a great job of building excellent configurable tools to really disseminate that information out to our customers, and it allows them to, again, make those informed decisions from that data that you guys make available in a nice presentation format that's spatially correct. Usually when we put the projects together, we're looking for feedback, so I really just try to put together some information, integrate some widgets, and provide some interactions for our customers.
So those tools that Esri has for bringing data in matched up well with the API that we provide. Okay.
Yeah, you guys built the integration between Esri, our ArcGIS online premise, and then all we have to do is turn it on in Appia, and all that data syncs up nightly. So that makes it really nice, and I think it's a good fit for allowing Esri to handle the mapping side, and you guys handle the data, that project management data side.
You can visualize the information better on a map than just looking at a dashboard. Yeah. Okay. Pat, where was this information that you first used or tested on generated?
The information that we used, most of it came from the Grandview project that we've got going on downtown, down along the river down there. It's one of the DOT projects that has to be on Dock Express and Appia. So what better project to use than one that we already have information on. So we pulled that from that project. Bolton and Menk has been managing that project for us. So we knew the data would be there and be in the right place.
So what sort of project was it? Was it a widening? Was it adding curb and gutter?
The street reconstruction project. It's a total reconstruction, complete streets project that we have down through our downtown area to revitalize the south end.
Okay, so, and budget's a big part of that, especially when you're working downtown. People say, why did you close my
Oh,
shop?
definitely.
And when are you gonna open the
Right.
road?
Exactly.
Okay, are there other things that impact the citizens and stuff from being able to put that out there, especially with regards to citizens and to your councilmen, city councilmen?
I think it's going to answer a lot of these questions a lot quicker. Right now, Facebook is faster than we are. So a lot of rumors spread through Facebook, and this might squash a few of those. So it'll get the information out to the public quicker this way than our traditional method has been.
Okay. I actually hadn't thought of the Facebook aspect of this, but yeah, that's really relevant. Okay. So Mark, are you ready to show us a little bit about how this works and what it looks like?
I'm ready.
Okay.
All right, so as I said, our primary my primary focus when I found the data available was to look at the projects that we had available. And as I said, we only are using this for DOT sponsored projects at this time. But this is the Grandview Avenue corridor project, which is actually a working project. What it does is it takes you to the area. Council members that are in that ward may want to have information about this project. And on the right hand side, it'll tell you a little bit about the project, when the expected, the original authorized amount, the working days, the liquidated damages, and then also what percentage of the project do we have complete, and then what, again, those working days are a big thing because we're looking to get the projects completed in that working day time frame from a state perspective. So that was really my primary focus, was trying to get the money figured out, which is the cost of the project, where we're at. And I've already provided you guys some feedback on some new things that I would like to see as far as maybe where we are in current spend and things like that. So
Okay.
I think that's phase 2 of our project.
Okay. In fact, that was going to be the next question I was going to ask you is, what would be next? Can you give us some examples of things you are asking us to help you with?
Yeah, I think getting some of that the more real-time current spend information, maybe what has been completed up to this point out of Appia would be a benefit to our customers as well. Right now we have a good, cost summary and the working days, those were kept current. But I think getting a little more detail on the cost or the project spend to date would be beneficial.
Okay, and I hope they take time to explain to you about the forecasting function that's in Appia, where if the contractor gives you an idea of what they're going to spend each month, you can chart that and then see how close you're coming to matching those expenses per month, and you can see if you're ahead or behind of the spend that was planned. Okay, so that functionality is in there, and but it's just one of those things we will explain to you in more detail. Thank you. Okay, Eric, let me ask you a couple questions. The first one would be, what role did you play in the Appia implementation? In addition to training, what else did you have to do?
So when I was at the DOT back in 2018, they were already in talks of getting some kind of construction management software together. There were a couple of, they took some RFQs out, and the Infotech product seemed to make sense because they already utilized Doc Express. They're using Bid Express for their bidding. So it was kind of a no-brainer for the DOT. And then I was in on the ground floor with the Infotech team on as far as customizing it somewhat to Iowa needs, but obviously you guys have a lot more customers than just Iowa, right? So the team was amazing in what they put together. We tweaked some things, we added some things, we made it a little more of an Iowa feel. And I think that's kind of rolled out to other agencies as well across the country. And it's just been, as we're going through that, one of the things, so with the utilizing Bid Express for their online bidding, all of that data gets put into the system to be able to bid, right? And with Appia, you could upload your items through CSVs and things like that. But they worked with the Office of Contracts and their data management folks to write scripts to extract that data that was already available. And what my boss called it at the time is she wanted, the Staples easy button. She wanted an easy button. She wanted a file created that you send that to the agency and you essentially upload a project. It's got your all of your items, all of your contract time, all of your specifics related to the project, and it's all set up, ready to go. Very little things to do as far as making it happen and getting to the point where you're ready for construction. And that was absolutely amazing. And that easy button concept has been really cool. When I was doing my trainings, Pat watched me go through uploading items and creating projects in a demo sense. And I got pretty good at it. I could get a project ready to go in about 10, 15 minutes. And if you're going to do a paper setup for books, you're talking hours to get your book set up. And we're talking 10, 15 minutes. And I think if Pat was going to go back and do it the old way, it might take him, a half hour now, maybe. But that easy button was just absolutely amazing. And to reiterate what Mark said, the Infotech staff was just wonderful.
Oh, good. I'm really glad to hear that. You used the phrase Iowa centric, I think was the thought. Can you talk about how the benefits that you see going on at Muscatine also affect other cities in Iowa?
Sure. Any project that's let through the Iowa DOT is required to use Doc Express. Right now, they don't require you to use Appia, but on those DOT projects, there's consistency in the specifications, there's consistency in how things are inspected and documented, and having this come online and be consistent with everybody. And that way you're just plugging and chugging the same stuff all the time. And it's very, very easy to do. One thing I will add is that not only are they using on DOT projects, they can upload their own local projects and manage them the exact same way. So there's consistency in-house as far as how they're managed as well.
Pat, is there any intention of taking your other projects and putting them in Appia?
Absolutely. We were talking about that just the other day. With the younger staff that we have, they have a desire to go digital on everything instead of doing it the old-fashioned paper copy reports and punching everything into an Excel spreadsheet. So they want to go that direction.
Okay. And Mark, you're responsible for GIS throughout the city. Is there any other group in the city that, I guess I'm thinking specifically about the water wastewater group. Are they thinking about using Appia on their projects?
Yeah, so, we're a municipal utility, so we really partner with the city of Muscatine on a lot of those water infrastructure projects. So that would be incorporated in the city's version of Appia for project management. Now, if we did something, we're just wrapping up a large transmission line construction project that we just managed in-house. If we would have had something like this, it may have been beneficial to get the information out to our staff to be able to be up to speed in real time. Everybody's informed. So I think that was done with just spreadsheets, project planner of some sort. But I think, like I said, being a municipal utility, a lot of our projects align with what's going on at the city of Muscatine as well.
That's the great part about having it all under one agency instead of things that are owned outside the city. I guess.
Yeah, I think it's an effective way to handle local government.
So. I think so too. Okay, and I guess it sounds like I'm critical when a city sells an asset like the water department, and I don't mean to say that, but I guess I do mean to say that. Eric, getting back, what sort of services like this do you offer regarding Esri tools for Appia or Esri tools in general?
Well, at Bolton Mink, we are essentially a one-stop shop engineering firm. We do every aspect of engineering that's out there. And as a part of that, in-house, we have a dedicated GIS staff, folks who are like Mark, that the smoke and mirrors things that we see, on the outside, they look like Cadillacs, and they put a lot of work into it and make it look awesome. We have staff that do that. We actually developed a tool that we called Input ID that we use for public input. So you have a public information meeting on a project, people can't get there. You provide a link to this and they can put comments in. They can pinpoint things that they see. We've used it on projects as far as, during construction, where the public can provide input and say, hey, this sign's out of place, or, gosh, people are cutting through this particular business and they're not supposed to be. So, and that's real time. So we've done that. We've also used that in for like comprehensive plans and ADA transition plans for public input. So that's some of the stuff that we do on the GIS side. Again, I leave that up to the experts like Mark. I don't want to say it's black magic, but doggone, they do some really cool stuff. With Appia, like I said earlier, I was the lone expert in Iowa for a while, and now we're 3 years in, almost 4. And the DOT will at some point require Appia to be used on their projects. I had heard it was going to be this July. I've heard maybe by January. But one of the things that, like Pat had said earlier, me coming on board with Bolton Mink helps us to be able to support agencies in that regard. And I do take phone calls from folks from my previous life with the DOT just to, hey, how do you do this? I remember you talking about this 3 years ago, and now I'm just starting to use it. How do we do it? So I help with that too. But like I said, Doc Express is required. Appia is coming. But I think, as you said earlier, time is money, and we're being asked to do more with less. And the technology is there to make things more streamlined if we just go out and grab it.
And I have to say that I am, Mark, really impressed with the things you've been able to do with your Esri map. I know they have all those tools in there, and they really aren't difficult to use and implement, but I don't see many people getting as much done as you have on your web map. That is really, really impressive. Okay, like to ask if there are any final thoughts from you guys, anything that might have occurred to you while you were listening to some of these other answers. Let's ask Mark, do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, I just say, it was great working with Infotech through this process. I think it started, we had a meeting about a year ago, and you guys just came back to us and stated that you had this integration built. So I'm excited to see us get more local projects in there so we can start expanding on the dashboard, work with you guys to get some more information out of the Appia environment and make it readily available on these open tools to our citizens and to our city managers, directors, people that need to be informed on these projects. And then I could also see us putting together, leveraging some of those other configurable apps of Esri's, like a story map, to maybe tell our story a little bit better to the citizens of Muscatine. Really, Esri provides us that spatial component to looking into the information. What's being built in my backyard? That's what our citizens want to see. It also provides, quick access to great information that Infotech has put together without requiring someone to be an expert of Appia. And then that can be handled, the Appia environment, that can be handled by our project managers. And then the rest of us can see the information in real time and stay up to date on what's going on in the community.
Yeah, and understanding how to use an Esri map, it's almost universal. It's like using what we used to call in the old days a word processing system. Everyone knows how to use it today, and I think everybody knows how to use an Esri web map. So taking it from a complex situation like Appia and putting the information out there on a web map, and then spatially relating it to other projects that are going on are helpful too.
Yeah, I think Esri's, we've come a long ways in the 15 years that I've been here. So building and constructing these easy to use applications has really allowed us to spread our reaches to other areas of the utility, the city, and the county. So
great. I don't want to put anybody else in the spot, but Eric, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just reiterating what I've already talked about, how we've gotten to the point we are today. It's amazing, and just that little bit of turnaround, and to see, Mark do his thing with, taking that data and making the dashboard. I hadn't even considered that, and I saw that. I'm like, that's really cool. I think it's something that others could really grab onto that tool and make that something available for their constituents or customers, however you want to say that. There's so much data available. It's just a matter of getting your hands on it and put it in the right format. And I think Mark's done a great job with that so far.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely. Pat, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just one thought that came to my mind was one thing that we could probably work on in the future. Right now, it's kind of a one-way conversation where the information goes from Appia to Esri. But if we could make that a two-way street where we can take information that we put into Esri, because that's how we quantify things in the field with our younger staff. They have a GPS unit. They go out and GPS in all the construction that was done for that day. If that could go back to Appia and fill out the daily report with the pay items and whatnot, that I think that would be a huge benefit there as well.
And that's a subject for another webinar, but we do have interfaces of Appia with both Leica and Trimble rovers, so that you get really, really accurate locations, and that information is stored with the item, so that later down the road, and I mean this much down the road, that data is available to go into your asset management system. And then if it's there, who placed it, when it was placed, and if it's a manufactured item like a valve or something like that, you'd also know who the manufacturer was, so that if you have to pull maintenance, what sort of parts to bring out and do the maintenance on it. That's going to be of great value in the future. And if you're storing that GIS information or that location, longitude, latitude, elevation, if you're storing that right now, and you can in Appia, then that'll go with it into the asset management system. Okay.
That was the direction I was going with that. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll make sure that I follow up with you on that, just to be more specific on that. All right, so it's time for me to do a wrap up, and before we say goodbye, I'd like to thank all three of you for all the work you put in getting ready for this, and for your time and sharing this knowledge really with other communities that are out there and thinking about doing something like this. I think it'll really help them and give them confidence they can be successful. And that is the goal of this. And so to recap some of the lessons that we learned out of it is that we are able to leverage the really incredibly valuable data that you collect every day in your daily reports, and all of the pay and history that's out there that you can go back to and look at later. It's really valuable. It also makes, everyone has a limited staff because hiring is so difficult. You have to make the staff you have much more efficient. And so any efficiency we get out there helps a lot. And you want to make sure that this information, this valuable information, is out there and available to every stakeholder possible. So with that, I'd like to say thank you to everyone for joining us, and I hope everyone has a great day. Thank you.